So this is Brigham Young's actual room. It's a picture of him and his family.
They were able to sing.
This is actual hat, cane, and handkerchief donated to the church from his family. And his bed. And they don't let us go in, unfortunately.
It's so true that as we have family prayer, whether you're waiting for addition to your family or whether you're a single person, it really does unite the family. And I know that that was one thing that I wish my parents had taught me, although they're not members of the church, to pray. Because then I was raised only praying when I was in trouble. But if I was raised from my youth to pray always, and especially with my family, we would have much more comfort, especially through our hard times and our afflictions. So that's something I know that as we do, we're able to provide peace and comfort for our children and their future.
Yeah. Prayer is such a mighty thing that we can do, and it's amazing that if you go to the dentist, you can have any doll from the ZPMI or DCMI, the department store back then. And so what she did was
this is where we would entertain guests.
But it's an amazing story, not because she went to the dentist, it's because he knew what each and every single child needed.
This is very old, very old property. This house is from the 1880s, 1870s, 60s. And these are all original property. This is what was in the house mostly. A few additions, but not many.
And we'll need a different thing.
Doorway.
And you as well, like your parents knew that each one of your siblings were different, and not the same thing would work on everyone. And so Mark Twain, and even the first emperor of Brazil.
This is his daughter's bedroom.
And we know that the children weren't able to come in here unless they were able to play instruments.
And as she just said, with that other room that I just showed you, Ulysses S. Grant and Mark Twain and other Ralph Waldo Emerson, different people that were visiting the West, actually stopped here and stayed here for a little while and visited Brigham Young, who was actually the governor of Utah for a while, for a short time, and then actually the prophet of the church. They came here and visited. So that's pretty neat. They actually came and saw him in his own house. That's downstairs. Do what? Yeah, that is pretty neat how it twists. I'm sorry I got you on camera earlier.
It's okay. You know what? It's not even a big deal. It's just like for those random people who are like
for anti
videos.
Yeah, for the bad people. So for me, I have a temple recommend, and so I'm a good person.
You are. Welcome.
You'll be going to school here? I think good things, work hard, and it's going through how the families work hard. Exactly. So, yeah, Brigham Young loved the image of peace because they worked so hard and worked together. But also, the word Deseret, you're very familiar with Deseret Industries, Deseret News, and things. Deseret actually comes from the Book of Mormon, in the Book of Ether, and it translates to honeybee. And so Brigham Young thought it was perfect. So that's why this place was called at first called the Territory of Deseret, before it was called Utah. But over here you can see John Young. He was a very skilled carpenter like his dad, and he carved wood as well. Over here he carved the train, which helped speed up the construction of the temple. So instead of taking 4 days to transport one piece of granite, it only took 4 hours. So we will go down here and show you a few more of the rooms in this extension as well.
I actually carved this, so it's pretty neat.
So here is some furniture that was in the Gardo House room. The Gardo House was actually across the street, and it was finished. The construction was finished after the death of Brigham Young, so he never lived there, but other prophets of the church lived there. But now it was bought up by a bank, torn down, and they built a bank there instead. But this is some of the furniture that remains from that home. As we come down here, you'll see the little girl that we were talking about before, Clarissa. She grew into a woman and she got married. So over here is her wedding dress. And some of the furniture that her mom gave her.
This is neat. This actually does have a French style to it too. So that, wish it was my house. I would live here. I wouldn't complain.
16. You want to venture a guess how old she was when she got married?
Oh, probably 15 or 16.
That's Actually, she was missionary age for women.
21.
21. She was considered an old maid back then.
She was an old maid.
But she wanted to make sure that she was making the right decision. And likewise today, when we choose to marry, we try our best to choose someone that we can be married with eternally, especially in the temple. How has being married in the temple helped you? You're married.
Sweet.
But it's something that, yeah, it's very and again, it's something, because I'm a convert, I'm looking forward to, because it helps us put our families into perspective, that even when we have bad days or challenges, that really we're going to be together for a long, long time. So it's better that we work through these things and really love one another. But Clarissa also had brothers, so these down here are the boyfriends.
Yeah.
They're probably making fun of her for not being married.
And so, on the walls, you can see the original diplomas or certificates from the time, and many of the young men, they were encouraged to study and go out on missions. But one of the neat things is that actually Brigham Young, he actually started 3 universities, even though he only had 11 days of education. So one of the universities he started was the University of Deseret, also known as Utah University of Utah. He started BYU, of course, and then he also started the LDS Business College. But before it was known as the LDS Business College, it was called the LDS Women's College. And because back then his daughters would apply for college, but they were not accepted, because back then women weren't supposed to go to school. So he thought that wasn't right, and he started a college for the girls. But since then, it's been changed to the business college. And over here, you can see the schoolroom as well. Brigham Young believes in balance in life. So 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of school and work, and then 8 hours of play. So down here is the playroom, where you can see some of the toys. And it was a really interesting way for the children to be able to also learn different skills as they made their toys or made clothes for their dolls. So it's really awesome. But we'll bring you downstairs now to where the adults would work.
Dining area of the home, and they were able to eat here in shifts. The helpers.
You can pause that back at the message if you didn't read it. This is like the kitchen kind of thing. That's a really big stove. I bet it's heavy. Neat pans.
They're very resourceful as well, as you saw Brigham Young said in his old.
They're old.
On this side, you can see the kitchen, which is my favorite room in my home. But the kitchen was where Lucy Young was able to provide the meals, but not she alone cooked. She was able to train and really mentor and tutor the young women who came to the valley, or even the orphans, in homemaking skills. And I know that I appreciate my mom for always cooking, cleaning up after me, and teaching me those things. Because I think the role of a woman and a mother is being downplayed in this society. But those are really the things that help a child, and especially daughters grow up, be able to take care of themselves, and to really make the house a home. And of course, in our Relief Society today, we have people like Lucy creator. I think I'd be at home like, get me my food and rub my feet. Okay. Well, we welcome you to the reception hall, and here you can see so many books, and it represents Brigham Young's love for education. And we know that he only had 11 days of formal education, and look what he did with it. But one thing that really sticks out to us, my Sister Young and I were talking about it, was how Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, not the most education, but they did great things. And it really shows that their obedience to the commandments and their faith, and their desire and their willingness to accept their callings, they didn't think they were prepared, neither of them, to be prophet. But they did it with all of their heart, and Heavenly Father made up for the rest and enabled them to do amazing things. So Brigham Young always inspired me to know, even when I feel inadequate or that I can't do something, that if I have faith and pray to our Heavenly Father, that He'll empower me with those gifts or those skills or those talents that I don't yet have at this time. And He'll answer each and every one of our prayers as we pour out our hearts to Him.
And that's also a promise that we find in the Book of Mormon as well. This morning during my personal study, I was reading that if we have faith in Jesus Christ, we can have peace in our lives.